Lieutenant General Dr. Shekatar, I guess is here. Yes. President of FINS, Dr. Prabhakaran Paleri, Convener, Sagar Discuss, and Vice President FINS. Ambassador, Ambassadors, Admirals, here present, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank FINS, and by extension, the Government of India, for their very kind invitation and for the excellent hospitality that they have accorded to us in order to put us entirely at our ease and in the right atmosphere here in the Lila Goa for a successful first Sagar Discuss. As our excellent MC has already said, Seychelles chairs the CGPCS, that is the Contact Group on Piracy off the coast of Somalia, a responsibility which I have held since the start of this year, and I found it appropriate to attend this maiden annual event on maritime security. It is an opportunity to remind the shipping industry that, and the ocean users, that piracy is very much active and that we all need to maintain vigilance. This was the key message that the annual plenary session of the Contact Group on Piracy of the coast of Somalia, which was co-hosted by Seychelles and the Indian Ocean Commission in Mauritius last July. India and Seychelles enjoy excellent diplomatic, friendly, and cultural relations which date pre-independence days. Our cooperation spans a wide spectrum of sectors including the blue economy and maritime security. Since piracy hit Seychelles in 2009, India has increased its cooperation in the maritime sector. Just this week, Foreign Secretary Dr. Jaishankar was in Seychelles for bilateral talks with the new president and the Minister for Foreign Affairs. In 2015, Prime Minister Modi made a historic visit to Seychelles. Last year, retired Admiral Arun Prakash, then Chief of the Naval Staff of the Indian Navy, was in Seychelles for the handing over of a third naval vessel gifted by India. Our two countries share the same ocean space and work hard hand in hand to preserve the safety, security, and growth of our ocean, on which we all depend. Ladies and gentlemen, the ocean, our planet's largest ecosystem, is home to small island development states, or SIDS, as much as it is home to the majority of the world's population which live on the coastal zone. We survive on it and depend on it for our wealth, food, health, water supply, energy, and air. But the world knows today that the SIDS are under threat. Numerous speakers have referred to it. And for some of the SIDS, their existence is actually threatened. And sad to say, mainly due to human action. For this vast ocean, previously thought of as able to withstand all forms of human pressure, pollution, and abuse, can collapse irrevocably. According to the first Global Integrated Marine Assessment, World Ocean Assessment 1, our civilization is running out of time to avoid the detrimental cycle of decline in ocean health that will have dramatic repercussions on the ability of the ocean to keep providing the support we need. And we are all responsible individually, collectively, poor and rich, big or small. We all need to change our behavior and our relationship vis-a-vis the ocean. The good news is that things have begun to change, with more global political will being mobilized to bring about the global transformational change that is required in our vision and in our behavior. Last week, I attended the 4th edition of our Ocean Conference, co-hosted by the European Union and Malta. Incidentally, a young Mumbai-based lawyer and environmental organizer, Afroz Shah, was there to speak as a scene setter for the panel on marine pollution. You will remember how, in this saga discuss, we have spoken about plastics, and again this morning. Afroz Shah's contribution was electric. He inspired everyone with his individual action in picking up tons of plastic garbage on the shores of Mumbai, and how he started a movement which is spreading all across Mumbai to clean up the beaches. Afroz Shah believes that governance does not only depend on governments, rules, institutions, and interventions. Each and every one of us are called upon to change our behavior vis-a-vis the ocean. Afroz Shah asks himself, what am I doing to change this? And he then goes out there again and again to pick up the garbage. Malta had another impact on me. A young scientist, Emily Penn, spoke of her experience in Tonga, where she found that this SIDS country, having turned consumerist, like all the rest of us SIDS islanders, and importing most of what it consumes, had not put in place a solid waste management system to take care of all the imported consumer waste. Our young scientist speaks about how our fellow islanders' traditional practice of burning waste was ill-adapted to burning the new waste, the plastics, which cause harmful smoke. This got her to study the toxic substances found in plastic and how the plastic garbage that ended up in the ocean was consumed by fish that ended up on her menu. She decided to test her blood for the 34 harmful substances found in plastic. To her surprise and consternation, 29 of the 34 substances were found in her bloodstream. Now, you know, before Malta, I had taken to the habit of avoiding meat because of the use of GMOs by the producers. I would only eat meat if I was taken to a place like Somalia, where I was in July this year, where you are sure to be served with camel and goat meat that they would serve you, because it will be free range and organic. After Malta, this SIDS islander who speaks to you now has decided to start avoiding fish. Can you imagine the state of health of islanders whose main source of protein comes from the ocean? But let me not sound too depressing. Our ocean conference in Malta, another SIDS country, had an overwhelming success, and I would like to highlight for you the following, which you can study at length on its website. 437 tangible and measurable commitments were made. 7.2 billion euros in financial pledges, 2.5 million square kilometers of additional marine protected areas. The EU's 36 commitments alone exceeded 550 million and implied action throughout the globe. Together with its individual member states and the European Investment Bank, the EU pledged more than 2.8 billion euros. Other countries tabled over 200 commitments, while NGOs, foundations, research institutions, and international organizations announced 87 commitments. As a major game changer, the 2017 conference, for the first time mobilized at scale the business community in the conservation of our ocean. Corporate leaders responded with 100 commitments, from plastic reduction to satellite monitoring. Seychelles' own commitment, as announced by the President, Barry Faure himself, a panelist on maritime security, was to adopt a comprehensive national maritime security strategy within 12 months. The next Our Ocean Conference will be held in Indonesia, another Indian Ocean Rim Association member state. and an archipelago comprising of more than 17,000 islands, followed by Finn's partner at this saga discuss Norway in 2019, before returning to another SIDS country, Palau, in the year 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, I started by speaking about the importance of the ocean to SIDS and how its decomposition is adversely impacting on SIDS. To do justice to the subject, I am invited to speak, that is island governance and SIDS. I need to further elaborate. Small island developing states, as a group, are generally characterized by a combination of small size, limited natural resources, limited technological and human capacities, inherent vulnerabilities to natural disasters, and small economies of scale. These inherent resource management challenges and issues therefore require strong and effective environment governance. So, what are the marine environment and climate change issues SIDS face? For SIDS, sea level rise is arguably the most certain and potentially devastating climate change impact. According to the IPCC report, during the 21st century, sea level will rise at least 0.18 meters and perhaps as much as 0.59 meters. Under these average scenarios, several SIDS are expected to lose significant proportions of their land due to sea level rise, including Tuvalu, Tonga, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Tokelau, and the Maldives. Even larger SIDS with much land area well above the sea level rise, such as Fiji, Puerto Rico, and Samoa, would have problems since most settlements and infrastructure are in the coastal zone, while the hilly inland regions would experience severe ecological changes in settling all the migrants. Chemical changes could also reduce low-lying islands' inhabitability. Oceanic absorption of atmospheric carbon dioxide is leading to ocean acidification, which is likely to warm coral reefs and to have detrimental effects on coral islands, including shingle species. Another significant ecological impact across all SIDS is likely to be invasive alien species. Additionally, significant ecological impact across all SIDS is likely to be warm oceans, which have depleted zooplankton and have resulted in considerable coral bleaching in some SIDS regions. These events have the capacity to eliminate more than 90% of the corals on a reef, destroying the ecosystem, leaving islands exposed to ocean waves and storms, and eliminating many SIDS livelihoods. Increased surface temperatures appear to be leading to more intense storms once the storms form, as well as changing storm tracks could lead to SIDS closer to the equator, such as Tokelau, Tuvalu, Aruba, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago, experiencing more storms. Because these SIDS have limited cyclone experience, the consequent events are liable to have a much greater impact than on more experienced SIDS until the newly hit islands can adjust. To further compound the above, at the same time SIDS are faced with diminishing levels of support from the international community as a result of their relatively high levels of GDP per capita. The high GDP per capita level of some SIDS are viewed by development partners as an indicator of their success. But in reality, this indicator, apart from being skewed in small populations, masks SIDS' lack of progress in many areas. Last but not least, as has already been highlighted in this discourse, the areas beyond natural jurisdictions, A, B, and G, which covers most of the oceans, requires a new approach. Currently, the principle of common heritage of mankind, as defined by under UN clause, ensures that no state or private entity have rights to resources in A, B, and G, and that the management of this common heritage should be for the benefit of humankind, present and future. In practice, this has led to what is called the tragedy of the commons, whereby no one is responsible, so no one cares, resulting in the deterioration of ocean health in some cases. This is contrary to what the intent was, which was to foster cooperation between nations. So, what can SEEDS do in face of these challenges? What tools and solutions can SEEDS apply in the area of environmental governance? First, let us note that there is now a growing appreciation of the importance of establishing a global development framework that takes into account the circumstances of SEEDS. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change recognizes the particular vulnerability of SEEDS to the adverse effects of climate change, and thus stipulates that their specific needs and concerns should be given full consideration. In addition, SEEDS will need international support, both multilateral and bilateral, and development partners should factor in vulnerability criterion in their programs to support small states instead of blindly insisting on the sole criteria of GDP per capita. Similarly, a framework of resilience building policies should be embedded into SEEDS national plans and strategies in order to promote, amongst other pillars, of sustainable development, their environmental governance. The Commonwealth Secretariat has done much work on SEEDS in this regard. A new legally binding instrument under UNCLOS is currently being developed for the conservation and sustainable use of marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdictions. This process is an opportunity to address the limitations of sector-based approaches, lay the foundation for sustainable development in pace with technological advances, and set out a regime for benefit sharing, ensure the protection of the marine environment, and facilitate cooperation and coordination among various institutions with an ocean mandate, thus promoting the principles of good governance. The preparatory period of 2 years is coming to an end, and negotiations will start in 2018. So SEEDS and their partners need to be on the watch. It is in fact in SEEDS' interest to ensure that there is an equitable international order that is rules-based. In a globalized world, it is an equitable, rules-based order that will ultimately guarantee our security. By way of conclusion, I would like to mention 2 examples of innovation that could be considered by SEEDS from a purely Seychelles experience, if you allow me, Mr. MC. Marine spatial planning, as a structured, participatory, and evidence-based decision-making tool, can bring sectors together and facilitate collaborative, ecosystem-based decision-making and the resolution of conflict between our ocean users and the environment. It is increasingly applied at the national and transnational level. The Seychelles experience is an interesting case. Seychelles is funding its marine spatial planning from the Debt for Climate Change Adaptation Swap, in which government committed to expand marine biodiversity protection to 30% of its exclusive economic zone and territorial sea, an extent of 400,000 square kilometers by the year 2020. Seychelles is also finalizing a new novel financial instrument, namely the Blue Bond, which will raise funds to improve management of marine areas and fisheries and strengthen fisheries value chains in Seychelles, including support for private investments in aquaculture. This is expected to leverage and catalyze further public-private partnerships with the blue economy in Seychelles. I thank you for your attention.